welcome to New World Workforce, where we examine the latest trends having an impact on the way we earn our money and live our lives. I'm Nakia Edwards, the Houston Community College Executive Director of Adult Education and Literacy. Now, you can find us through social media on Houston Community College District Facebook, the District Facebook page, and YouTube. We're also on X, LinkedIn, and on HCC TV. You can also download an audio version of our shows for listening on the go at hccs.edu/podcast. So more and more retirees are choosing to age in place, staying in the community they know and love. So new services and new career paths are opening to help seniors achieve that lifestyle. Today, we'll look at a few of those careers. First, we're joined by Dr. Anima Smith, a professor in our Occupational Therapy Assistant program. How are you, ma'am?
I am doing really well. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, awesome. We appreciate you being here. So let us set up a little context. Is the senior population growing in the U.S.?
The senior population is aging and they are living longer. Statistics have shown us that about 65 and older adults are projected to increase to about 58 million in 2022 to about 82 million in 2050. That's about a 47% increase. So older adults are living longer and living better, and definitely wanting to make the choice of aging in place, which is really making the decision to age in the environment that they choose.
And I'm glad you said that because, aging in place. So what is aging in place? And then how many seniors choose that path?
A lot of seniors are choosing that path. Aging in place is just basically having autonomy over where you decide to age. So once you've maybe transitioned from maybe full-time work or just wherever, you want to be in the community that you know well, you want to be in the home that you know well, you want to be in the environment where you know where the grocery store is, the pharmacy, where you go to get your shopping. So anything that you do, any occupation that you do that's meaningful to you, that's where you're going to be aging in place. Now, that can be a traditional home, that can be a retirement home, that could be an assisted living facility. It's whatever place that you deem is appropriate for you to age in your place.
Okay, well, that's some great information that I learned something new today.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, Occupational Therapy Assistant Program. So what is occupational therapy, and then how does it relate to aging?
Okay, so occupation is a profession that focuses primarily on helping older, well, just anybody, period, find meaningful engagement through occupation. So you're going through your life, and every one of those activities that you engage in that's meaningful to you, that's considered an occupation, whether that's dressing, bathing, grooming. Those are your basic ADLs. Then you have your, what we call independent activities of daily living. So those are housekeeping chores and anything that you do, financial management, communication, taking care of pets, taking care of other people. Those are meaningful occupations. But then it also encompasses leisure and social engagement and work. So those are all components of occupations that are also addressed while you age in place. And so it really goes hand in hand. The occupational therapist role is to try to get older adults to maintain their independence in those occupations while aging in the place that they choose. And so that's what we're really here to do, is to help facilitate that, give them the resources, the supports, and interventions that will help them to remain in the home environment of their choosing.
Interesting. So what are some interventions occupational therapy can provide, like both in the home and also in the community?
Yeah, and so we like, as OTs, we like to take a holistic approach in dealing with older adults and just anyone, period, any client that we have. We want to look at you from a holistic perspective. We never want to just focus on a person's just their impairment or their disability. We want to look at the entire person, their spiritual well-being, their mental well-being, their environmental context. So what are the supports that they have? And we want to use those things to help us improve quality of life and independence in occupations. And so interventions for facilitating aging in place, it's helping older adults find housing solutions. So a lot of times maybe you want to remain home and you don't want to necessarily be institutionalized. Like let's say, for instance, it's like a nursing home or a more a restrictive environment. Well, we look to see what's the best supports for that. What are the best places where aging in place can take place? We also are looking at, and sometimes it's modifying your environment. Maybe it's just a difference of adding additional adaptive devices in your home to make it safer for you to remain so. So it might be adding a ramp into your home or adding grab bars to make toileting or bathing safer or making recommendations for adaptive devices. So just is adjusting the environment um, in your home so that you are safer there and we can reduce the risk of falls and we can improve your quality of life. We also look at fall prevention programs. I mentioned that before. Falls is probably the #1 reason seniors are hospitalized. And so if we can do anything to reduce falls in your home, we want to do that. And so there's so many community programs. The CDC has programs called the steadi program, which is recognizing stopping. Steadi stands for Stopping Elderly Accidents, Deaths, and Injuries. And so there's so many different programs like that that assess how safe older adults are in their home. And then as OTs, we go in and we make the interventions that help them eliminate those barriers so that they can be independent and they can reduce the risk of falls, keeping them out of the hospital. And so once older adults fall, it can sometimes start this chronic cycle of hospitalizations, and it just really kind of can start to be the decline. And so if we can keep older adults out of falling, we want to definitely do that. There's also, so OT is also looking at community resources. So how do we keep older adults socially engaged so they can age at home? We try to find resources like Silver Seekers or senior programs within their local communities or adult day centers for adults who may have some cognitive impairment or who can't be left alone pretty much all day by themselves. And so there's just a lot of different things that we do. We also look at community mobility, making sure older adults are not living in isolation because of lack of transportation. And so looking at resources throughout the community where we have maybe ride shares or MetroLift or wheelchair accessible transportation. So helping seniors find solutions throughout their community so that they can remain in the place that they choose.
No, an amazing answer, first of all. And you started slinging acronyms. I was like, OT, okay, occupational therapist.
Oh yes.
Okay,
we are serious about what we do. We're serious about, allowing people to remain in the space that they want to remain in. So if we can do that, the most authentic place for occupation to take place is in your home. And so it's always our goal for our clients and our clients, our residents, to be able to have that opportunity. And so what we do is we do our very best to give them those resources and those supports.
The passion just speaks through all the answers, and we appreciate such dedication, because you're right. It's very true. My grandmother, she fell once, and that was pretty much the decline of her health. So I appreciate the work that you all do. It's very important. And look, I love people with passion, and thank you so much. Dr. Anima Smith.
Yes, Dr. Anima Smith, that's it.
You're awesome. So how can they contact you?
I can be reached if anybody has any other questions. I have so many resources. I also have spent the majority of my career. I do work as a full-time faculty at HCC, but I also have spent the majority of my career in home health, working with older adults. This is really what I do. This has been for 17 years my passion, getting older adults to remain in their home. And so there's so many resources that are available. You can reach me at my HCC email at anima.smith@hccs.edu. And that's probably the best way to contact me at this point.
Dr. Anima Smith, thank you so much for being with us. Hey, everybody, we're going to take a short break and then learn how smart homes can make life easier and safe for seniors.
At HCC, your dreams are within reach.
When I grow up, I want to work at the hospital. When I grow up, I want to work in a lab to build robots.
When I grow up, I want to work at a school and be a teacher.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
Welcome back to New World Workforce, where we're looking at new careers and industry sectors for aging in place. Seniors looking to age in place may be concerned about isolation and about managing a house by themselves. Smart home technology can help with both. We're joined by Calvin Stewart, owner of the Tech Savvy Senior. So, Mr. Stewart, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Oh man, well look, if I complain, it'll take too long, so I just choose not to, right? So tell us about your background and how Tech Savvy Senior came to be.
Well, my background is I've helped and worked with seniors for several years. I actually own a smart home and security automation company where we do commercial and residential. And I've worked with several seniors where I've seen them, get kind of taken advantage of, and not because they felt a little intimidated about the technology. So what I decided to do was, after working with several seniors, with smartphone apps, Walgreens prescription apps, I was in a store once in a prescription, and I heard them say that they told this lady, senior citizens, oh, well, if you don't understand, just download our app and go to it, and you can refill your prescriptions. And I looked at the poor lady, and she was like, an app? What is that? So with that, I said, you know what? I'm in the right field, and I'm doing what I need to do. I'm also the president of our Houston Gulf Coast Alarm Association. So that's the entire association over the Gulf Coast, where we try to work and train and make sure that people get the right information that they need in our industry. Also, we've been working with Matt Adams there at HCC with the smart building technology. So we're working on, just new things for seniors, like Dr. Anima Smith said earlier. We like to make sure that aging in place, most of your senior citizens feel comfortable where they are. So we try to implement things like pads that if they don't step out of their bed for so many, like a day or so many hours, their family will get alerted. If they fall in the house or in the home, they'll get an alert that can go to to a family member of their choosing, things of that nature. So we're looking at really making them comfortable in their place.
Tell us briefly about your partnership. I know you mentioned you're working with Matt, but tell us about your partnership with HCC.
Well, our partnership with HCC, is where we actually go in. We've spoken at several of the trainings with the new smart building technology launch. We worked there, and I worked with several other people in our organization, in which we go and we speak. Well, we come to the HCC and we actually speak and try to guide the students in the right direction, making sure they get their security license, make sure they know how important it is to have integrity and having a word to your clients and to themselves. If they give themselves a word, that they stay with it. And Matt has been doing an awesome job with this with the smart building technology, and he's really behind it. So we're supporting him individually and through the Houston Gulf Coast and Texas Burglar and Fire Alarm Associations here locally in the state chapters.
That's pretty cool. And so now you mentioned before, so what is actually a smart home, and what are some aspects of technology that might be particularly helpful for these seniors?
Well, one of the things is, I know that sometimes falling, like Dr. Smith said, is a major one. But sometimes there's time when a family member, a son or daughter, just wants to check in on mom, and see what they're doing. So there's all type of cameras that we can put in just so they don't feel like their privacy is being invaded. There is, like I mentioned earlier, the step pads. There are just, there's fall detection pendants. There's voice on maybe an alarm system. So if they go to sleep at night or something happens, you can, if the alarm goes off, the central station can call in and ask them, are they okay? There's emergency buttons on the panel, fire buttons. There's a lot of different avenues. But I think what we do the most is we like to interview the senior and find out exactly what would make them more comfortable without feeling so invasive. And let them know that they can stay there and give their family member a peace of mind to know that if they're at home, that they're okay.
Wow, that's interesting. And you know, it's a common stereotype that seniors aren't as adept at technology, but is there any truth to that? I mean, are they really that behind, or what issues do seniors have with implementing smart home technology, and how can an integrator help?
Well, the way that the integrator could help is making sure that whatever it is that's installed in their home, because let's face it, a lot of times they hear about the sons or the grandkids are the biggest ones. The grandkids are the ones that push it, you know, and they're like, hey, you know, your internet is not good. Oh, grandma doesn't have internet, you know, grandfather doesn't have internet. And then they get internet, you know, and then they don't understand the severity and the security of it. So that's where we come in to make sure that they understand about locking down the networks, making sure that they have dedicated passwords and that they have a guest password to make sure that, you know, not everyone gets on that network. And, you know, they want smart TVs, but they don't quite know how to work them. So that's where we come in and make sure that, hey, you know what, this button does this, you know, and just to get them, and even smartphones. I had a client once who had a flip phone, and they went to the store, to Verizon or wherever, to a mobile store to get a phone, and they sold them a iPhone 16. I mean, an iPhone 13. So they went from a flip phone to an iPhone 13. Imagine that.
And so what advice would you give a senior who wants to work with an integrator?
The advice that I would give that senior is to ask questions. Make sure the integrator is licensed. Make sure the integrator can meet them where they are and not speak over their head and leave them more confused than they were before they spoke to them. I would also recommend that the senior just take their time and don't be anxious to the first person that they talk to.
That's good. That's good advice. And you know what? People are really getting immersed in technologies. People can't go to a restaurant no more and actually look at a paper menu. They have to scan a QR code.
Exactly.
So you know, the technology is catching up with us, and sometimes they have to either catch up or be left out. And so it's so important that we have that. So Calvin, Stewart, I appreciate you coming here with us and sharing your information. Truly
no problem.
Appreciative of it. So we're going to take another short break. So Calvin, I'm sorry, how do they contact you?
Well, they can contact me. They can go to the website, and the website is thetechsavvysenior.org. And they also can email me at TLS, which stands for Technical Learning Services, the number 4, seniors with an S @gmail.com.
Awesome. Everybody, Calvin Stewart, thank you so much, sir. We're
Thank
going to take a short break, and then we'll look at money services for aging in place senior.
At HCC, your dreams are within reach.
When I grow up, I want to work at the hospital. When I grow up, I want to work in a lab to build robots.
When I grow up, I want to work at a school and be a teacher.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
Welcome back to New World Workforce. We're talking today about helping seniors age in place. Seniors that age in place may choose to move things they used to do in person to an online mode due to mobility challenges. Often this includes banking. HCC Financial Coach Daniel Scholl joins us to talk about financial tech for seniors. Mr. Scholl, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you doing today?
Well, awesome, sir. I'm doing quite well. If I complain, it'll just take too long. So I just choose to leave it alone and just keep on rolling forward, right?
Absolutely. That's all we can do.
That's literally all we can do. Hey, but so what are some financial transactions a senior might consider doing online? You know, in regards to retirement funds, deposit transfers. What are
Absolutely. So, When I first got out of college, my first job was in banking, and it wasn't that long ago in the mid 90s that this was just starting to come out. And maybe you could, transfer some money online. You could check your balances online. That was about it. Today, you can do anything that you need to do in terms of banking. It can be done online. You can transfer between accounts. You can open accounts. You can close accounts. You can, set up your direct deposits, do bill pay, anything that you used to have to go into the bank to do or do in your home office, like writing out checks, anything like that, can all be done online. And it should help seniors save time and money. Getting out, time is money, we know. Getting ready, this can sometimes be a difficult challenge for people. So it's going to save them gas as they, go back and forth to the bank. Stamps as they're writing out checks. Checks have actually gotten incredibly expensive. Most people don't buy many, and if you ever have to find yourself buying a box of checks these days, you're going to be shocked at the cost of them.
What are some benefits to online banking rather than in person or old school paper checks, as we just mentioned?
Sure. There's a lot of talk about the scams, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit later online. But actually, online banking is very, very secure. Writing checks, putting checks through the mail, having a box of checks in your mailbox is incredibly dangerous. Actually, there's a lot of information on those checks. You have your account number, you have your routing number, you have your address, you have your name. And there are people who drive around opening up mailboxes looking for, checks in there being either mailed out or a box of checks being mailed in. And they have little printers with them in their car, and they have an ID and printed by the time they get to the bank and start doing withdrawals on checks. The crypto security is actually very, very strong on online banking. And as long as you're, paying attention to who you're sharing your information with, it's very safe. And like I said, it's a lot easier if you're having mobility issues. If you're not driving anymore, it's just easier to do all that from home rather than getting dressed, going to the bank. And there are still some people, when I first worked in banking, there were people who felt that they had to put on a suit or, we had a woman, she had to put on her gloves and hat anytime she'd come into the bank. They felt it was a real formal situation, which it's not anymore. But again, that just all that you have to go through, getting ready, maybe finding transportation if you're at assisted living, maybe, scheduling with them to take you to the bank or working with your children to get you to the bank, all that goes away with online banking.
So if a senior isn't accustomed to online finances, where can they learn more, or how do they find reliable resources and help?
Well, I think that's an incredibly important point because there's a lot of information out there.
Right.
How do you weed through all that? First and foremost, talk to your bank, either by going, I know we're saying don't go into the bank, but go into the bank, talk to them. What do they recommend? What services do they use? A lot of banks are developing their own financial technologies, or, they'll, in the industry, it's called fintech, or a lot of banks are working with existing fintech. Zelle is a company that a lot of banks are automatically working with, and your money's being transferred via Zelle, whether you really may know it or not. So I would start there. Also, crowdsource from your children and from neighbors, that you trust, and find out what technologies they're using. Also, we have a wonderful resource here in Houston. Easter Seals of Greater Houston has been working with the United Way of Greater Houston, specifically their FinTech committee at the United Way. And they have a website that Easter Seals has put together and in conjunction with the United Way called bridgingapps.org. And on that, the FinTech committee, the FinTech committee is something that I've set in on, worked with. We actually go through and use FinTech apps and write reviews of them and, try to vet them as well as possible. And if there's something we just don't even feel is worth it, we won't even review it, won't even put it out there. So that the apps that are recommended on that bridging app have been vetted by people in the Houston community, in the nonprofit and financial world.
Now, so what are some security concerns to keep in mind, particularly when it comes to the scams? As you mentioned earlier, scams are very lively right now.
They are. First and foremost, know that your financial institution is rarely going to text you. They are almost always, they may text you about little things, but for the most part, they're going to be contacting you in more formal ways. So be careful with texts that you get. And when you get an email, it might just say like the name of your bank. Go ahead and click on that address in your mailbox line, and it will show the full address. And if suddenly it's got a lot of numbers and letters in it that don't make sense, it's probably a phishing email.
Yeah.
Don't click any links. If you get an email that says, hey, do you need to do this? Or you need to click on this link to do something, don't do it. You contact the bank directly. That's always the number one advice that I give people. Same thing with the IRS, the Social Security Department. If you get something from them and it says, click on this link, it's probably not correct. Just go ahead and contact those institutions and ask them directly what's going on with your accounts. If you do find yourself, falling victim to a scam, alert your financial institution as quickly as possible. They will work with you. They are regulated. And also there's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that is available to assist you. And you can always start an inquiry through their website if you have been a victim of fraud.
Yeah, that's awesome stuff. It is very important to have that relationship with the banks and also know those numbers to call in order to make sure you have those inquiries. They can definitely, especially if you lose a card or you get false charges and all that stuff, you got to have those numbers in place and know how to work online, because you can lock your card online as well. So this is some great information. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Daniel Scholl. Daniel Scholl, thank you so much for joining us today. And how can they contact you?
Certainly. The easiest way to reach me is via my email, daniel.scholl, that's SCHOLL at hccs.edu. And don't be surprised if I now refer you over to Calvin Stewart. He's another resource out there, I think, that we need to take advantage of. But yeah, anyone has any questions, reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer them in any way that I can.
Awesome. Awesome. So if you would like more information on all the people that we have and the organizations featured today, check the post on our social media sites and YouTube. To download a copy of our audio podcast version of the show, visit hccs.edu/podcast. For everyone here at HCC TV, I am Nakia Edwards. Thank you for joining us on the New World Workforce.